Hello and welcome to this session, and in this session we shall continue our understanding of the different types of pronouns. Particularly in this session our focus shall be on the object pronouns. So what really are the object pronouns and how and why should we really make use of object pronouns in our English sentences? Let me explain. Even before I dive deep and tell you as to what really the object pronouns are, have a look at these sentences. Maria watched the movie. Maria enjoyed the movie. Well, both of these sentences indeed are valid English sentences, but then I am sure that you understand that this is not the way that English sentences have to be framed. You know that in these sentences, Maria happens to be the subject of the sentence and the movie happens to be the object. But then these sentences look a little awkward because both the subject and the objects have been repeating themselves. In other words, in case I'll have to make these sentences look a little more impressive, then all that I have to do is to replace the subject Maria with the equivalent subject pronoun she. And now if you would notice the sentences that Maria watched the movie, she enjoyed the movie, definitely is a better way of framing sentences. But then let me tell you, this is not the best way of framing sentence, because not just the subject was repeating in the sentences, the object, that is the movie, also is repeating, and this repetition is also adding awkwardness to the sentences. In other words, all that I have to do to remove this awkwardness is to replace the movie, which is the object in the sentence, with an equivalent object pronoun it. And now if you would look at the sentences that Maria watched the movie, she enjoyed it, definitely is the best way of framing sentences so that you can avoid repetition and create meaningful and impactful sentences. So I'm sure that through this example you have been able to understand that similar to the way that the subject can be replaced with the subject pronouns, even the objects also can be replaced with the corresponding object pronoun. Anyway, let me give you one more example to substantiate this for you. Have a look at these sentences. The gardener planted the new flowers. The gardener watered the new flowers. Well, I am sure that you already understand that this is not the way that the English sentences have to be framed. No doubt, both of these sentences happen to be valid English sentences, but then in both of the sentences, the gardener happens to be the subject and the new flowers happen to be the objects, and obviously the repetition of the subject and the object is making these sentences look awkward. So what I really will have to do is to replace the subject, that is the gardener, with an equivalent subject pronoun he, and then replace the object, that is the new flowers, with an equivalent object pronoun them. And now you can notice that the gardener planted the new flowers, he watered them, definitely is a better way of framing meaningful and impactful English sentences. So all said and done, I am sure that even through this example as well, you have understood that similar to the way the subjects can be replaced with the equivalent subject pronouns to avoid repetition, even the object in the sentence can also be replaced with the corresponding object pronoun to avoid repetition. So all said and done, what really is the formal definition of an object pronoun? Let me explain. An object pronoun happens to be such a pronoun that shall be replacing the object which is present in the sentence, and also that the object pronoun is the one that shall be receiving the action of the sentence. Well, that way all of these words in English happen to be the object pronouns. Now that you have been able to get some basic insights into what really the object pronouns are, have a look at this. All of these happen to be the utility associated with the object pronouns. Well, you already know that the object pronouns definitely help in avoiding repetition, but then what do these other 2 points mean? Let me explain. Have a look at these sentences. The manager asked the employees to submit the reports. The manager reviewed the reports. Well, both of these sentences happen to be valid English sentences, but then they look awkward because the subject, that is the manager, is repeating in both of the sentences, and also the object, that is The reports is also repeating in both of the sentences, and it is this repetition that is making the sentences look awkward. But then in case I'll have to rectify and make it more concise and simple, all that I will have to do is to replace the subject, that is the manager, with the equivalent subject pronoun he. And then I should be replacing the object, that is the reports, not with it. Well, I cannot be replacing the reports with it because the reports, which is the object of the sentence, happens to be a plural object. And whenever you have the plural object, obviously I will have to be replacing it with the equivalent object pronoun them. And now the sentences that the manager asked the employees to submit the reports, he reviewed them, is actually a better way of framing English sentences. And now you can notice that indeed these sentences promote clarity and simplicity, and also the use of the subject and the object pronouns definitely is enabling the focus to be more shifted towards reviewing the reports than who actually reviewed the reports. All said and done, I'm sure that through these examples you have indeed been able to understand all of these utilities associated with the object pronouns. Anyway, let me give you one last example to substantiate all of this. Have a look at these sentences. The chef prepared the meal. The chef served the meal. Well, both of these sentences are valid but look awkward. And you know that they look awkward because the chef, which happens to be the subject, is repeating. The singular object, that is the meal, is also repeating, and it is due to this repetition that the sentence is looking complicated and awkward. Well, all that I have to do to rectify this is to replace the chef, which happens to be the subject, with the equivalent subject pronoun he, and then also replace the singular object, that is the meal, with the equivalent object pronoun, that is it. Well, now if you would notice the sentences that the chef prepared the meal, he served it, definitely is a better way of framing English sentences. And you can notice that there is no repetition. Definitely these sentences are simple and clear, and also in these sentences the focus is shifted more from the chef towards him preparing and serving the meal. So all said and done, now I'm sure that not only have you been able to understand the definition that is associated with the object pronouns, you have also been able to understand as to what really is the utility of the object pronouns. So in this session, I'm sure you have been able to understand everything that you need to understand about object pronouns, but then you also know that there are a lot of other types of pronouns that you still need to understand and master, and all that you really have to do to achieve that is attend my next session. Thanks for watching. Let's meet again in my next session.